Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing Pyramido from Synapsis Games. Pyramido is a 2 to 4 player pyramid building game, sort of. It's a tile laying game, a 2 to 4 player tile laying game in which players are going to be selecting tiles from this market over here, replacing tiles as they go, and ultimately constructing a pyramid of tiles across 4 rounds of play. Before we dive into this further, it's worth noting that this playmat over here is one of a set of 4 possible playmats, I believe 4 possible playmats, so you can go ahead and buy and add. Completely unnecessary, does not come with the core game. It's a nice little surface to build your pyramid on, but you certainly do not need it. But with that said, let's go ahead across the let's teach the game. So across 4 rounds of play, you're going to be drafting tiles and building a pyramid. So I'm just going to literally just walk you through a round of play and show you how it goes, and maybe walk you through round 2, because honestly, if I'm just doing this myself, it can move that quickly. You're going to start by drafting a tile over here. I'm going to start by drafting, honestly, none of these tiles are the best, but I think I can probably work with this if I put it as my edge tile. I think I can work with that one. So I'm going to place this over here, and I'm going to mark that tile with my marker over here. In general, when you place a tile, you're going to mark one of the sides. If you're able to, you must do so. So if this other tile was also gone, then the next time I place a brown and purple, I would not be able to put anything out. But right now, as you place tiles out, you must mark it if possible. You choose which side to mark. Now, as an extra action, you could put a covering on top of it, one of these little patches over here, but you probably don't want to do that, at least not early game. Save them for later rounds, but you could do so. And then the last thing you do is you refill the market, and you refill the market with a tile, ideally being mindful of the fact that other players are also building up their pyramids, and think through what you want, what they want, and whether putting something down is going to result in it being taken or being left for you. For right now, for the sake of just giving this a very quick walkthrough through it, I'm just going to be taking the tiles myself, but normally there'd obviously be other players taking the tiles as they go, and that would drastically change up how you play tactically, but I just want to show you how you play mechanically. So, from there, I draft a tile, put it out, I take another tile, and let's go ahead and grab another tile, and let's take this tile and put it over here. This is another tile over here. We're going to continue building out our areas. We're going to put that brown there, and we'll lower this down over here. Great, okay, we're doing great. This one over here, I really want that to be my edge, so I don't think there's an easy way to take that and work with it for right now. So let's go ahead and place this like so. I don't love it. You know what? We're going to go ahead and do it anyway. But we're going to go ahead and rotate this way, which I do not love. There's a reason I don't love it, but you'd have to know more about the game state. We're going to drop that down there. We're going to toss this one over here. So for example, here we cannot mark any tiles, which is fine. We'll put this out over here. And then we'll continue by placing this one. No, you know what? We could go ahead. We want it to be 4 by 5. If we want it to be 4 by 5, we could place this like so. That's going to be a singular yellow, though. That's really harsh, but I think I'm going to go for it all the same. You'll see why it's important. Now, this is an example where I might want to consider putting out this yellow patch over here because it will allow me to build out more yellows. And in fact, I probably should, given how this is, but I have more control over the mark. You know what? No, we're going to put it out. I'm going to put that patch down. This is the one time where if you put out a patch down, let's say I put this patch out, you could put down 2 of your markers in one turn. Normally you cannot, but because I'm doing yellow, that's not going to be relevant. So we placed it out. It's okay. We'll benefit from that one way or another. And then we're going to go ahead and grab another tile. We'll move this one down over here. Let's move this one down over here. Great, that's probably not what I wanted to do, but it's too late now. We're locked in. Let's go ahead and place this down like this. That might work out for me later. We'll find out. We already put yellow and red out, so nothing we can do there. Let's grab this down over here. And now we don't need the blue, but we could work with the yellow. So we could still work with the yellow, so let's go ahead and put the yellow down over here like so. We still have to be mindful because we still need a tile, a tile, a tile. We still need 3 tiles. Let's bring this down. One thing I didn't really say is whenever you have a tile to bring down, you have to bring it down from one of the 2 stacks. So when I do this tile, I have to fill it from these 2. When I take this tile, I have to fill it from those 2 as you go. So we're still working our way through this, trying to see if we can not get locked out of points, but we have blue. Unless we start building blue over here, we're going to be locked out of blue. In this case, I'm comfortable with that. I don't love it, but I am comfortable with it because I made bad choices. It is what it is, but at least it's not the worst. So we're going to move this down over here. We're going to lose something over here. We're going to pop this down, which means we have to take a tile. Let's go ahead and grab this and put it down over here. We're really losing on some of those blue. It is what it is. We'll put that blue down there. We drop this down over here, and then we're going to go ahead and put this down over here and fill out the grid with this last one over here. That is going to be round 1 of the pyramid. Now, I didn't build out any green, so we could ignore that. But right now, in round 1, if we're grabbing the score pad over here, and I don't have a pen handy, but I will have a pen handy in a second. If we're grabbing the score pad over here, I'm going to score based on which tiles I have on the board and where I have a scoring color. So for example, every one of these symbols is going to score, but these 2 will not because they're not connected to the blue. So we have 1 because we have the symbol, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because we have that, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. My starting score for round 1 is 19 points. And that is going to be round 1. Now round 2 is going to be interesting because round 2 you're going to clear everything and then continue playing. Basically, I'm going to take all these off over here. This patch stays on the board. These over here are my remaining patches. Again, I have all 6 colors potentially covered over there. And then we're going to start building towards the next round. Now, whoever has the least points gets the first selection over here, so they have a little more agency. But in this case, I'm the only person playing, so I'm going to have the most agency as we go through this. And this is where I need to think through how I want to do this, because ideally, placing this over here could be helpful-ish. I don't love it, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to grab this tile over here, placing this over here. So we're going to cover those. And this is very relevant. You'll see why in a second. We're going to place this out, which means all our yellow are already scoring. Because you only score when you place one of these down, and because you clear them round to round, you will only score for what you place out there. We'll grab this tile down here. This tile is great, actually. We can go ahead and work with this even further. We could put this like so, which would even further double down the scoring, I think, but that would be a little scary. So let's go ahead and place this down over here like so. We'll worry about things later. I don't know, man. I'm going to lose some points. But the only thing you have a possibility of scoring is the stuff in the outer row. Because the nature of building a pyramid means you're going to have the outer row available, but anything else you won't score no matter what happens. So, for example, these 2 yellows are going to be covered, so it's just not going to score no matter what. Which means I think I'm going to stick with my placement over here, which means I do need to put down this over here, which is fine. And then we're going to put down a tile. I could start scoring green for the first time if I really want to. Honestly, not the craziest, because again, everything left on the board can have the possibility of scoring. If I place this like so, I could do there and there and there. That's not the craziest, although it won't help me. I'd have to place it like this for it to be locked in for scoring, which I don't love. But I could even do this maybe? I feel like that's a horrible mistake that I'll pay for later, but you know what? Let's just grab this tile and deal with that later. We're going to take this tile over here. That way we have these, and the blues are going to continue scoring for me, and we'll lower down the red. Then I'll go ahead and take the red. And again, remember, I do have complete control in a way that's just a little bit unfair. I don't want to put that down like that because I'll lose out on that. I could put this down like this, but then I'll lose out on that. I could just do this over here as well, which is not the worst. It's not the best either, but it's not the worst. And I'll go ahead and place down red, so I'm going to be scoring red. Ideally, locking yourself into singular colors can help give you a lot more potential as you go through things. Which means I think I'm going to take this one over here, because I think this one over here, no, it's not going to be the best. It's not going to be the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. Let's go ahead and grab this one here. Will it help us? It will not. Not the way I structure things, unfortunately. So fine, we're going to go ahead and go for this one over here. We're going to pop this down over here, and we'll just get what we can get out of it, and that's okay. That's totally okay, although it might result in fractured areas, which I don't like. So let's go ahead and put this down at least like this. No. See, this is cut off over here if I'm not careful. This is cut off here. So I need to be very careful how I do this, because I don't think I'm going to get all the points I want out of this. We're going to put this like this, which at least means that they will connect through the outer edge. Hopefully that's good enough. It is what it is. We're going to pop that out there, and then pop this over here, and then put this down like so, which will at least give us the opportunity of scoring this next row over here. So let's go ahead and do this. At this point, honestly, because I want to, I'm just going to go ahead and play through the whole game. So the second round is complete over there. We're going to drop down another tile, and then we're going to go ahead and say, look, we have this red marker, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5, 6 from this. We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And they have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I got even higher in the second round, which sometimes happens, but sometimes your points get closed off. We're going to again clear the markers and then continue with round 3. We have to be even more mindful because you're only putting out 3 tiles. That's even less scoring every single time. So this blue one over here is going to be helpful to getting us blue scoring, but I think we definitely want red scoring, and we're going to go ahead and drop that down over there, which will give us potential for red scoring. We'll put down the red marker on it. We could put down the yellow marker. Honestly, we do want to make sure we do get the yellow marker, but I think we can achieve that with this tile over here, because we'll put this one down over here, which will definitely give us the yellow scoring we need. And then as long as we are able to get ourselves a blue scoring, which we can definitely do so, then we can pop this down over here. This is where you have some interesting choices to make because of the following. We could absolutely, yellow's connected all around, which is nice. So we can go ahead and drop blue down over here, which is definitely helpful. The question is, do we want to try, no, we don't want to try to do anything. We're going to put blue on that side, and we have these 2 patches remaining. Not a ton we can really do with them at the moment, just based on the nature of the tiles that are out. We're going to have to save that blue for next round, and it is what it is. We're going to drop this down over here, and then we're going to continue the round, and then we're just going to score. So, scoring-wise, we're going to score for yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Points are starting to go down. You have less opportunities for getting tiles out. We're going to once again clear things, and you'll get a final tile. And the final tile, you usually want to have patches left over for them, because ideally at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to score for yellow and blue. We're going to pop yellow down over there, and then we're going to pop this blue tile down over here, which is going to give us scoring for that there. And that way we are able to score for at least 2 colors. The most you'll ever score for the last round is 2 colors if you save the tile. And so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We have 17 points, and this officially makes this my highest scoring game ever because no one was getting in my way. That's how you play Pyramido. Ideally, you're doing it with multiple players, which is going to elongate the game. It's going to leave more decision space as far as what tiles you place down. But the basic idea is across 4 rounds of play, you build up your pyramid, you put various markers down to try to just multiply your scoring across different regions. You will you'll usually have an arc of getting a little bit more points around 2, and then possibly getting fewer points as you go through it. That arc is fairly normal, just because you get more symbols potential as you start building things up. But then the problem is then you start restricting what you can actually score just as you construct the various symbols around your pyramid. And that's how you play Pyramido, which brings us to the review, starting off with ease of play. Overall, this is a very easy game to dive into. I just played an entire game on camera because it was that easy to dive into. It's an easy game to get up and running. It's an easy game to play. It's an easy game to teach. Some small elements of it are not immediately intuitive. I would caution you to advise people to try to construct that outer ring of as many symbols as possible on the outer ring. That will really help you score well in the game. And be mindful of how these work. The fact that you're placing these down, able to get extra points if you do them correctly. A few small things that are not intuitive, but the pure gameplay loop is very easy to get up and running. And game plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, first of all, it teaches quickly and it plays quickly. This is a very accessible game. It's a solid gateway game. It's very colorful. It's rewarding. It gives you that sense of accomplishment as you build things out. And so it does have strong gateway game strengths to it. You know, again, just good art, decent art. I'd say it is good art, but at a certain point in the game, sometimes you lose. Like, this doesn't tell you what the game is, unfortunately. It doesn't really give you a sense of what you're doing in the game. That's the only real downside of the cover, but it does pull you in a bit. And again, the visual aesthetic of what you're doing over here is fun. It's even better when you're looking at this from a bit of a 3D angle as you watch this pyramid build. It's not that 3D, it's still flat tiles, but it's a little bit 3D as you go through it. And it's rewarding for what it does. For the amount of work that goes into the game, the amount you get out of it is fairly rewarding. It's satisfying to move up multiple levels. It's satisfying to see your pyramid come together, to try to see how much you can score through it, because it is challenging. At first, it's just placing down tiles, whatever. But as you place down more tiles, there's a sense of accomplishment to how you build your structure in a way, like even just here, the way my yellow loops around is a fun little trick. Like, I have yellow looping all the way around because it connects, and that's fun to see stuff like that develop as you build through it, and using your 3 patches as you need to. They're not called patches, I just forget the name, but using your 3 patches as you go through the game, it gives you a degree of satisfaction and flexibility to what you're trying to accomplish. It plays quickly, it teaches quickly, it's just a lot of fun for what you're doing. For the amount of work that goes into it, what you get out of it is a lot. As far as what I don't like in the game, it is a lighter experience. That's not a problem per se. I do tend to resonate personally with heavier experiences, so as much as I appreciate what Pyramido is doing, there's a certain point that I'll cap out, because it gives you a lot for the work that goes into it, but it still doesn't give you a huge amount of things to consider. There's a lighter degree, it's a lighter game as far as how it goes, and then kind of going hand in hand with that, I wish there was a bit more to it. I feel nothing really mixes up the game. The game is exactly what I showed you, and I want to drop more. I feel there could be goals, or, you know, public goals players can go for, or abilities of some sense. I feel like you can add a small amount to this game that would enhance just how much you have to consider, while not further adding to the complexity. So I wish this game did a drop more, but I like it for what it does. As far as what I can see others not liking, first of all, a poor last round can be the difference between the game working and not working. And a lot of that will come down to the patches you have and the way you set up your board. The fact that I was able to get double scoring in the last round means I got 17 points in the last round. I got scored twice as much as I would, because in the last round you're usually either scoring 1 or 2 colors. And if you have a close game, those extra 8 or 9 points can absolutely be the difference between the game working or not working, which means sometimes it might literally just come down to what tiles come out and whether you correctly save the patches you need. So it is a very tight experience, and having that last round be the game breaker could be a factor. And then secondly, the tile selection game over here, as you pull down tiles, as you grab them, it ultimately comes down to a degree of denial. You're not really selecting what you want, rather you're selecting what's less useful for others, or occasionally what's useful to others, in order to ensure that the next stack of tiles moves downwards. But there's not as much agency over what you're selecting, and sometimes you're kind of stuck with the luck of the draw as far as how the tiles go. It's denial. It's a denial game with luck of the draw built in that may or may not be your jam. As far as final thoughts on Pyramido, I like the game a lot for what it does. That just goes into the fact that I tend to prefer heavier games, and this is a lighter experience. But I think it is an excellent gateway game. For me, it's a 3.5 out of 5. I like it, I enjoy it, I'm ready to continue diving into it. I don't know how long it lasts in my collection because of the limitations of what it does, but I kind of wanted to hold on to it because I want to see if they do put out expansions or just enough to mix it up. This game is appealing to go through. It's a very simple game. It's a very fast game. It's a very simple game. It's rewarding enough for what it does. Overall, I am both very positive on Pyramido for what it does, while also understanding the limitations just because of what I'm looking for in a gaming experience. So a 3.5 out of 5, and a strong recommendation, especially if you're looking for a good gateway game. As far as other game recommendations, first of all, Number 9. This game gives me strong vibes of Number 9, another game where you're trying to build up levels in order to score points based on the number tiles you place down. And then secondly, Acropolis. If you're looking for a game that does very similar to what Pyramido does in terms of the building up of levels and the scoring multiplications, but with a lot more mixed in, I think Number 9 would be a similar weight class as Pyramido, and Acropolis is probably taking you to drop to the next level as far as the depth of what you can do with like leveling up tiles across multiple rounds of play. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.